Hi guys, welcome back to Backyard Adventures. Today I want to show you some modifications that I've made to a German army knife. In case anybody doesn't know, but these are available on the surplus market. They're issued, used German army knives. Very much knives, not knives. Very much like a Swiss army knife. In fact, this one is made by Victorinox. This one is made by the Spanish company Ader. So there's several different manufacturers, but they all made the same pattern of knife for the German army. I got these at a local surplus shop for $8, which I think is a really good deal because I've seen them go for at least twice that or more, $8 Canadian. So I think that's a pretty good deal. So I picked up two that were in better shape out of the pile. And I thought since I had two that I would maybe modify one of them. So it's those modifications I want to show you today. This is my everyday carry Swiss Army knife for comparison. So these are the really big framed Swiss Army knife style. They're really nice. They're good, well made. So let's get into the modifications. In case anybody's not aware, there's only a few tools on the German issued version. There's an awl and a corkscrew. There is cap lifter. You might be able to open a can with that as well. I thought it was a cap lifter, but maybe it's also a can opener. Screwdriver tip on the end. This is a blade protector for a wood saw. It's actually a really good wood saw. It's every bit as good as the Swiss Army knife versions. Maybe a little better, but it's very good. Blade protector or finger protector. Probably more to protect you than the blade. This one has a little file area. Don't think my Victorinox version has that. And then they have the main blade. I don't know if you can see the brand there, Ader, Spanish. Both of mine were crudely sharpened, looked like maybe on a belt sander or something, but pretty crude. So this one I've touched up. This one's the same as I got it from the surplus shop. So let's get into the modifications. First, I trimmed off the hooked portion of the cap lifter, possibly can opener. And I'll show you why in a second here, but just to show you what I took this hooked portion off. And then I sharpened this into a chisel, I guess I'll call it. A bit of a rounded chisel that I use for scooping wood out as if making the bowl of a spoon. I didn't actually use it for this one. This one I did almost entirely with my cold steel Bushman, but different video. So if you can see, this is scooped out a little bit with a Dremel. Used a small stone on a Dremel to kind of scoop that surface out. And then on the back, I rounded and polished the back so that where the scoop and the rounding on the back meet on the tip here, it's very thin and pretty sharp. Sharp enough to scoop out wood. Sorry. So I'm not sure if you call that a chisel. I don't know. I kind of think of it as a wood scooper, but there's probably a better name for it than that. So of course it still has the saw. If I can get the protector off. Not all of this, and see, notice this one doesn't have the file that this one does. Not all of them will come with the blade protector. Being surplus and used, a lot of them are missing that. But I was careful to pick through and get two that did. I think it's pretty handy, especially for this modification, because you have to hang on to the blade as you are working the wood. So you really need the blade protector if you wanted to do something like this. the main blade, and I got a piece of wood here, I'll kind of demonstrate it in a second. The main blade I didn't do much to other than touch up the edge. I thinned the edge kind of as much as I could, so it's extremely sharp but extremely thin, so it's kind of delicate, but I wanted to dedicate this whole thing for carving, so I didn't mind having a more fragile edge, as long as it would work wood really well. So I haven't done too much to that other than, like I said, touch it up and make it pretty thin. Nice strong locking on this. So one of the other big things I did is I took a woodworking Forstner bit. I think this one is 3/16 in diameter. Basically I chose that one because the shaft was the closest to being able to fit down inside the corkscrew there. So I picked one that was close to fitting, and then I marked off, just held it beside the corkscrew, marked off where the corkscrew would be, and then using a Dremel I ground it out so that it has kind of the same helical thread pattern as the corkscrew, and then I could thread it in. With a pair of pliers you could take it out. I don't intend to ever take it out, to me it's permanent, but there's nothing holding it in there other than the tight friction of fitting into those threads there. So a Forstner bit does mostly a flat bottomed hole. So I have the awl that can make through holes, and it works really well on wood. It's nice and sharp. But this one I thought might be useful for making a flat bottomed hole. And it does that pretty well on wood without too much effort. I think the awl is a bit quicker if you just need a through hole, or a bit more of a coarse hole. But this makes a nice round flat bottomed hole. And kind of the idea of me putting it in there was maybe if I wanted to make a spoon bowl, that I could drill into it in a bunch of spots to remove the material and then scoop out what was left with the chisel portion. So anyways, it's the ability to make a really nice round flat bottom hole. I got a little piece of wood here. Can just kind of demonstrate that a little bit. I don't want to throw wood all over my office, so I'll be careful. Just going to flatten this out a little bit. And we'll get to the scooper. This is poplar wood, so it's pretty soft. I believe it's technically a hardwood. It's very soft hardwood, but it's pretty soft. I hope I'm in the frame. So you can see it does pretty well for at least a small area of scooping out. Spoon carving maybe. Wouldn't want to do anything any bigger than a spoon. It'd take a while. But again, in the beginning stages of carving the bowl of a spoon, you can use a regular knife, and then you could maybe use this to round it off and finish it off and get the depth that you needed. So I think that's a pretty useful little addition. And like I said, I carry this just for carving in my haversack. So it's dedicated to that. And it's pretty neat. So you can hopefully see the beginnings of a bowl or spoon depression there. And it wouldn't be hard in a few minutes to have a spoon-sized depression. So that's kind of neat. And then the drill works pretty well. I've found just playing around that the best technique is to go back and forth and not to bother spinning it all the way around. Kind of found this seems to work better. Goes fairly quick. So Sorry, my camera shuts off after, I believe, 10 minutes. So, as I was saying, I find turning it back and forth without going all the way around to be better. And as you can see, you get a nice round, flat-bottomed hole. So if you made a few of these in a certain area because you wanted to get maybe a deeper spoon and then use the scooper to break out the material between the holes, I think that would be a quicker way of getting a deeper depression. And then just for comparison, I'll show you the awl, which is nice and sharp. I just kind of stropped it, honed it a little bit to touch it up. But it works really well for going all the way through. I hope I'm in frame. This YouTube stuff's harder than it looks. The awl makes a very cone-shaped hole, smaller on the back side and bigger on the near side, but it does make a hole pretty quickly. So we're all the way through there, no problem. And then you could make it as big as you wanted to. But just for comparison, you can see the Forstner hole and the awl hole. Both useful, different purposes maybe. I thought the Forstner bit would be a nice addition to have, an extra tool for something that, like I said, is dedicated to just carving. I won't bother demonstrating the saw. It's very much like the Swiss Army knife saws. Very, very, very good. The only thing is that it's quite short. But for something like making stop cuts for the spoon handle, perfect for that. So I'm pretty excited. Maybe shortly I'll do a video of me carving up a full spoon using just this. If anybody wants to see that, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from people in the comment section. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.